Shirap, let the Yarwa, Shirap. No more on the single which on the wages and something to Trashiment. Galep and the Paki Possum, Tadam and Chits and Chinda Samba Malayan no one the interview could you happen to keep on Ranja Pema the nation disappears. When Ginger was a teenager, Java Chanson Kundu, children to knowledge. To do the Chape, Chandong to Tamjeto, Mada Jabu Shepa, Malawan Kepoto. Dogbal Hazin Jumbo, Sangatem Bedroom Ember, Namjilangelin Son, Enzelin Poet. Simba Jili Chapra Che, Kosato Kurichinjela, Sunsa Tamba Terdo, Atugan Lenchinilam. Randam Koa Maton Pa, Kanda Tua Jimichi, Kula Pente Chua, Che, Kanda Mavelaya. So Atonda Chilanja, Nishi Chenjo, no Samoya. No Mongure, Yamasi Chinchiwa, Mebeto, Chini, Randa Chinjo Trumpets. Sometimes Jakunga Pema, Imagine Lama Sonam, the Tawayana Bacham. Gumba Magum Chini, Trembling with Chuba, Maja, Shujaran, and Matakunda Sama. Samanda Badang, Samanda Badang. Lama Kunjo Sumjungwani, Koson Jawa, Janzo Chisacha comes to Chiji Jawa Sochamba. Then Janlembe Shala Sorwa and one certain Nanta Mount Deshamumbantai Shantanda Pension Syndrome. Zeta Shendo Chala so and Ridan Chungun James of Colongo, Pandela Masani, Nina Swanderson, Dijapas under Manchinjelo Sanjo Kumach, Pema Chashin, the two with something Chacha Kangang Satilano. So Anderson, the Manchinjelo Chugatama Sanji Shilas, Alondrunga Salepema. Kanda Trugara once and the Japan Messengel Losan to Elana Chalanja. Tamjakam some tissue in situation.
First, I want to say hello and welcome Tashidele to everyone. And really, there's no need to mention this, but please cultivate a very good, positive motivation. And this is important to do all the time, actually, not just when teaching or receiving Dharma teachings. It's important all the time, but especially when we're receiving teaching or receiving Dharma teachings. So now we're continuing with the teachings on the Ngondro practice. But first I'm going to offer the lungs, the oral reading transmissions for the concise Ngondro practice and the extensive Ngondro practice, and the Tsokang Dechen Tsok offering prayer. And actually first is the prayer praise to Lama Vajrasattva, the Lord of all Buddha families. And next is the prayer of calling the Lama from afar, a spontaneous song of the original nature that starts off with Ngo Dene Migir. And next is the lung for the extensive Ngondro practice, Chariot of the Path of Union, a recitation of the preliminary practice of the profound secret heart essence of the Dakini.
Lama Sonam Pema Trive Lamsa Ngondro Namsan Shintan Kavara Den Namtruve Tereshu Tayang Kang Che Salam Che Kalvatan Denchen Sende Sunju Kuishan Kompang Ngondo Chepan Debe Give Lendo Sepanam Tomani Nelam De Kanalan and Tente Sombrachate Te Tsulani Jinurong De Chepan Tomachangondota Rinyanan Chachada Guchangondo Tambo Debe Tela Kodeline Tamburo Sang 독숨제 롱로 살래 셰바 신 셰바 나도 파바테랑 바바지 섬데라로 용서죠 살마 성지 군디제 다니 쳔보제세 템베 이응엄바라고 대랑데 남가저 telano 저서네 파마년데 가르도 마차라마나 넘바 젠선데 통사도 젠전데 롱가저랑 대제인데 냠베죠 젠저 저서 저거 런저 근데 온거쇼 라마에제 라마 사타 라모고도 저저 라마나 손다 라마 근저 저거 손다 마르마 사와지 라마나 손다 라마노 저저 그라 손다 와사코네 저체네 라마나 손다 라마도 저저 그라 손다 도보노마냐 라마나 손다 라마 손제름 바젤라 손 토니른제 저 진제라 시소와 타타 타페 모고도 제라메 토지고 제마산테 간다세는 거 저한테 장서 텐션 제다 질러온가 동로 때년 전부 질러 제제 진스 삼라르반테메 쟁한테 다제년 버려자고 데는 텐담 제정원데 제대 파제제 질럽년든 저거 고바요도 니발라년 토몽론당남시 주지신산정와 당테메 살란퉁엔 사원다보 탐볼란데레타 단저지멜레네 신데냐 파라카지 냐반데 마타파냐테 치웨온데 안저르테네 신네장 정메담르 렘바제게 제선당당 크로안데 제당 크로아 감데 제자 동아 코나레만데 베타레 크로아 동아 제jan도 첨본 엔델레치네 장 타르바 제자 대제다메 쳬담바 남바로 타바세 타다니는 르파레지오 냠바 탄테타 둠니바 라마콘저 마체네 제제냠베 대바다무 대바당엔정게 쇼타도 제데 남원등산 장대장 탐제 제제전은 다임바 땡제장 텐절라마자 만라자도 대정고로야 소원달라마 전jel로에 간성매제 단전되는 신대녀바가 밀레도 님볼로 소원도 살라마로 전jel로 간 산다나 아무나가 잠다 조인도 베서 소원달라마로 전jel로 간 성매제 감성과 동아라제나 체젠토 때는 잡아서 소원달라마로 진jel로자 가른 소매제 게델레게 나멜로와 멜롱도나나 게저도 소한다 살라마rum보제 진jel로자 가른 소매제 니발라 알레 탐보 타르벨람 제테제 잡선도와나 토마라 잡여 사타발란네 제타베싱이 마트메 다나코 제테야 카나야 강가서 저콜라모토 노세선 선배 반반자서 롱데저 어서관다니면 저 가발라는 물론 저 칸도다 자토바트니 런제지 발람 마르바 예누샤 tonzejo joypada yagram jeyasumde shandejam kansanchang toda chandejo yananga tawsa longda ta sonaba alakala rana yanda samanyamba sen pabanande samachande chansannyana ganda sojo gandando chechana yanjute chande yanda shanana sampawa kono chirapana koitam jeson tamson jejo malatum tamson konjang chande nandamni korwadon to tenen thousand dogno teman teje jembo gonde shon paraja shesa tavan tanda ge chengran da so samjen tamjen denji gosong kwa jambo lo tenen juri jengon chanjen nyambo pa de chawsan do wendin be namanda no ta pama kanan do chese chanjen nyambo chenye wala mankanda son chawse ke jamanda te je so she chenen so chao Nipa Tensen Lam Je Nimbo Changcho Changto Samjabana Jawe Nam Pampar So Da Kanjam Droga Daga Pamda Deva Do Jangdo Ngam Pa Shantan Tama Kocham Nyata Nam Daga Yandro Teje Ema Tsumi Chang Samona Jatar Juyang Yin Tien Muncho Ke Samje San Deb Shimbe Ngoba Se Jawdang Simena Rama Changcho Bado Tunya Landro Pato Shoye Che Chidari Ba Jala Da Shin Nyaman Che Lo Jang Tan De Do Tong Ne Mi Pa Che La Tenje tajo nana chala datu yaka sosa nama pamchan tajala na konsume kecho ichona chanko na rangso so meme chan longdo shen te te nyambara chanko Sambang Ganjan the Jangwanda Sim Gomdena Range Chivatawe Lama the Chesambaya Vincian number Musum to Shoparasala Ngaji de Pala Nunja Tampo Cheche and Chanja Songlam Paja Michi Nyambe Nan Tamja Dan Toke Nantelen Chame Chansam to say Jinja Range de Rene Don Tamja Lometa Jong Asamante Topchi Netan Tempe Range Chop and the Lamanda Smajan Shantan Salabayan Tamja to the Tams Longa Chimra Pond Yon Tams Tuganda Hondangan Chansan to the Chims Duck Someone in Nyamja de Malakonja Beza Santa Saman Palam Tino Titan to Tamas of the Yamas one. As I was in a Sakuma, so much on the machine of Kura, Pongasavatan and Bazam Benzaba, Masama Santa, Shechines and Tet and the Ginger Lich and non concordim Chekan. Dirinyam Jatam Jeta, Lesson Samajet, Jabber Sam, etc. Dripjantan Taramugud no Mugud no. Don't show trouble, Satan de Chenda. Trouble Gombo, Danamation, Batam, and Ganamango, Machams. Not over the Twitcham down to what and the church of Cosson to Samatan and Tamsin, Tolutions and the new to my sort of a chance so a tap and the chess and by Jason, but I reach for Dirin and Tantan. Shaken on some other condition to Yellow, Ganam, not under. Mazatung Ranjong Benzo Santo Chu Dorasa Ranlatin Arayando Che Sembe Kurujeva Motan Nanda Tosan Langa Chini Chero Tachi Yanin Tawa Nanta Dipchong Tan Taranto Langa Chi Traba Santo de Chacha Chunchi Tongsan de Nantang Ridon Tunjin the Jason Beron Chilantawane Soma Tara Dipjon Lana Me Pao Shiva Tunjin Sosa Mandambuane Sojan Jayata Sata Becheng Rangosa Chambe Mandapen etc. Tongsum Jim Tongsum Jinji Shingam Chawata Jacob Nandarang Pongam Jenja to some Longa Sata Sama Chin Sado Chinim Shangan Sandra Tile no Seme Parang Chin Sanjimicho Nambat Tamjibe Tsuyimbu and Dumbata Chiva Montons Mijokata the Leno Economic and Sogotim Sonia Zojo Kunosameshi Chinis Poor Taratsu Jan Tachin Sanjan Tembe Sonia Yonso Soba Somo Avalam Jeta Chila Lamen Tumra Mountain Satabala Marana Nunda Tanya Machine de Japan to Renata Kanamana Mazat Natata Japan Panto the Ramata in the Yan much opinion Lamengo Pemajana Command and the situation to revision of Pesos Chad the Jim Beton Nation in the country nonsense and Kono Kayan Hongayalo Son She Tamaji Shivaranga Sandra Versa Tabane Hongaylan Sonapura de Chimpama Jachan Jason Martin to Content the Pogon Gente Television Buton Besumans the Palom Mashi and Wabet Tamia Yerme to Chumbarama and so Sape Letomont. Kimnenko Yalamala Son Sequence on the little long to me, but the time to yes, as my Yambata Choko, Tabani Mashu again to give them to Nala Messata. She is such a person, Jenny, Divine, Latin, Bata, Rangila, and Chalan Jopana, Muguchi, Tender Conala, Levaranga, Savella Martini. Javier Kundu, in danger, and Sanjay Tanyamji. Karinjang and Sanjele, Chiricha, La Pata, Chipeng, Chiche, Telete, Redolangi, you go nature to the Shavalam tomorrow to and then I was some of the graduation and son of Chajango, Tingo, Lony, Donna Saratona Maritoka, Jacob Consumatas, some of the new Tanya, and that's a good man, you know, Champagne to Janda and Kanga, Jibjo, so the Lona to Convention, Jason, Lona Chela, Anja was 30,000 of Margon songs of Channel, Jali Chaman, Churches, or Pusso, young Tava, nature, son of Jesus, on the Tenelamen, Sundoma, Karman, things, some Samba, Tiji Chabatam, Jeta, Jasum Jetanya, Tichavarma, Tilla, Jasa, Tilla Kotayant, something Janamatam, said to the Ranjaran Temple, wanting to Malavata person, Capse Chananga, Sanda Pare, Potano, Jojampa, Condo, Samba, Ratam, Jamajin, and Sinji, and Tonda, Rondo, Sate Chivang. Mamba la Pema Sando Sangaji, Nimbun, Chini, Pani, Sachintana, and Tarawanchi Lamba, Susu, Mine, Tanjate, Lamichon, Soko, Kandachota, Jana, Santa, Pema, and the Lucan, to go Kavich and Bella, Samala, Jota, Randavan, Song, Lunga Kamuka, Tokyo, Santana. Timothy Ranganing at the be attended took the children. And Chingela took children. Sorry, I miss. La Mecha the Osaka Kandachota, Rangachua, Tembe. Little Bajan Copamba, little Kurabachula to go come Cabbage and Demalosmo. Loja Chubata, Ranga, to songs around other songs long to kill and Timothy. Ranganing can be eaten to be down to Chervish on the Eton Surachina to Majula Chalamat. Number Maton, water, Kanangatan, which are ranging the dream, but not sound out one of the Jotin tenement. Genu Colo Young sort of a change along when you come back of Jula Chango, Chandak. She wang she long then an onion bed to Jitupa, one Lawata Cheba, Muguchi, shook Jella, Chaptakujan, Jetin to the tomato, the Yamato. You know, so and the kitchen drum, just a change in the Yamato, so a tap, Lamanda, what's among which only come from each other and you set them elemento, no say, and Jerwasam, Lande, or Saritonume. Still Lama Chukura Jata, when on the Chinese and Yambrichat and dinner, and someone later just the treatment in Jelaman to power. Until down Zambana Laraya, Nanda Tosun Lame, Sawa Sunda Lamji, Separata, La Panatola, Martachu, the Yokanachum. Cosum to young to Panela number of like the Chandela Bottom. Lame Chelas and Joperation. And then the go around the each other to Montais and some Lamechan to just the Jankologena Moluton, Tonian and Generator, Monta, Shiva Chepe, and some jet, Chalamlan Jobatan, Tanzan, Satonga, put the sea, around Jindaka, Latin, Sasana, Lama. Lambo, the Tokanawa Kanshara, Tamaliki, top edges and down. Langai, she getting down to the pneumonia with her sass and Besoa Tavji. Joe Lama Sone, Jerangin, Pemanta, Number Neve, on the Chambanati. We get Lukun Kangwala, some data, Sarton, but Tamama out. Namdo Shinja Paramacha Pranilo. Kandesan and Togu Janjang saw some chicken to chet. O Sakin and Jane, Niki, Santang, Nemlam Simba, Josa Laria, Taranda, and Salame, O Melam Juju, and Encourage and the Shopperson. Now, Songara, Temba, Yamson, Lao, and Chivetila Poto, Saying Reset, Yambran Chopan, a poet saw inching. Tema Tibetjan, Parto Chersos, and Jesetem, to Anjurwa, Nabakun, the Timutan, Tamsation, the Tabagona, Sonyin Son, the Jin and Jurdo Compe, while at Sombracha, the Congelunda Namshi. Tsun Sakchung Ke Rinpa Nam Sosol Nyamnenki Nyungwan Tundenki Parten Bechen Kepra Lame Nanjo Nendo Jete Lamje Samnen Tumo Mayempa Kuna Ngepe Tsering Dinyen Shi Nyamnenki Sokto Songte Tsompa Changpo Nyamso Lama Lama Chezo Shinje Nyamnen La Tu Muko Par Aya Pema Oji Shinto Ogyong De Rinzin Shi Zhe Pamen Che Tao Gongzang Yixin Lama Sala Zheba Jirwa Nengi Bao Kanchi Sipi Mo Tsadong Le Nambra Tanda Luden Kang Che Ba Lam Chao Jiang Ba Ang Bon De Tenpe Chanchi Zhibse Nambo Tsa Wari Kyo Le Chen Tu Le Kanja Jindro Kong Sab Chun De Du Jia Ni Kyo Ne Pema Wei Chen Ziwe Chung Che De Chimen Dao Ba Gawe Nyun Chu Shou Che Tersa Samsang Kanto Nying De Ke La Zo Tok Sum Ji Chi Chu De Ngondro Ngang Dong Song Chu Lam Ji Xing Da Che Chon De Nying Ge Pe Chi De Wen Di Ni Chung Se Musawara Tena La Yang Dung Gum De Wen Ngang Chi De Der Ji Wen Dun Be Ta Nye Chera Gong Yun Le Che Sanga Chozo Ne Zhiwe Guen Ji Me Chun Nurwa Tang Tam Chen Zhiba De Zhibe De Lam Diren Chukpa Tangpo Lo Li Chen Nam La Membe Memba Chenpo Guru Churba Ngepe Chi Chang Chubar Chi 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 Yike Lam Nen Tangwe Songke Jesu Koran Tse Pala Tene Rinzin Jinyu Wan Chi Rai Shi Dor Chi Rang Lo Sum Chi Tsai Chi Samba Wang Chu Ke Lo Chum De Nya We Shire Cho Ji Tse Che Nye Wen Dwa Chi Bar Chin Chi Sangpo La Lapan Chenpo Chin Je La Pen Tum Ne Chin Je Tang Sang Sing Ke Sang Chu Ji Ke Sang De Le Pura Jarwa Te Di Jang Salam Je Chen Len Chung Tara Jiao Chen Tang Pa Tang Pa Tang De Tse Su Je La Me Chap Chong De Je We Kawa Sang Po Chen De Ju Je Sarwa Manga Lam Ta Ting Ngondro Je We Song Pu Song Ta Ngondro De
So that was the extensive Ngondro practice. Then next is the concise Ngondro practice.
Then Chong Ta Sang Ngondro De We Ngam Do Ta Tila Yang Tang Po Then Chopan Nin Sa Chen Do Ti
Then actually,
Sheke La Rang Lama La Chopa Tene Sangye Cham Den De La Chopa
and actually first there's two offering prayers, the prayer of offering to the Lama and a prayer offering to Buddha Shakyamuni.
Tamala Me Sangye Mbe Chopa La Matama Zon De Bala Kuna Cham Na Kuna Sulant Ba Chant Kuncha Sun La Chopa Mbu Kanza Kanya So Cha Sa Chen De La Kumbu Dong An Chen De Na Chon Ten Sen Kya Cha La Cham Sang Lo Sum Sa Tap Ka Tu Cha Ja Ra Ra Chen Ji Mu Du Pun Ju Sa Chen Lam Tu Cha Je Ja Cha La Chopa Mbu Tena Lama Jambu Tu Ba
Then next is the concise prayer of calling the Lama from afar.
Yin te pen dam do ka sa chibe chen na ta de chin je lam chen de me ji ba chi cha ta ya ka ban chen de yin te kan chung ni ne nge ba nye be so me to ma cha se che so an de na wan chung ron te da ji mun a jan la ma thne jam bo to bi jan rang se ni man de la ma la so ma nya so an de chen de be ke ma na so an de ni le chen chen ze me che che sa la ma so ma ta ro ro so an de ga te lam yi shin do chen ngo che ye nga na cha ma rang de me chen le nya na bo nya ma an de sa yi ma Lende Chu Chitsu Chu Miyama De Nyanga Da Ta Ja Nyama De Chuma Kansa Chuki Ta Sa Chu Chila Na Ja Nyala Chunda Mantra Chu She Pa Ra Nyala Ngumpa Mebe Lotu Gibe Rinde Man De Che Chunda Ninja Muchi Sunda De Da Wa Chung Kwe Che Yang Kuwa Yila Cha Pe Ta Nye Cha Yan Chu Chuwe Kurumba Che Song Ki Su Ta Pa La Tenan Che Ra Shen Ta Che Shamar Chewa Gyos Tene Tang Ngondro
Then next is the Ngondro practice.
Jang Penny Boss, Champion Jonakan, Tandam, Jeremy, Denjata Sang and the Vaisho, so Tambo Jarala, Namjang and the Nanamulatanya Kumamachan, Tanjana Jetse Medachevich and a Gedel, General London, comes on Coadonga Janson and Tenanda. Jetse Medachevich and Gedel, General comes on Coadonga Janson and Tenanda, Lochan, Yavacha, Kang, Jala Lodge. Nyeba Ngondro la Tambo Japson to Nantinjan Namka, Johnson Kunichuma Salama, Guru Rinpoche, Nambarangan Sunda Shubaramola, the Sun Chanchin in Bachiba, Lamakonjo Che, Chalanta, the Chinese Java. Nyeba Sim Javana, Javio Pambo Sote, Tana Sonakoro Mato, Majusum Jenkin Pendant. Changju Jie Sim La Lo Jung Sumba Cong San Mandan Bowana Manda Sumbo Ngose Shan Pe Pen Chun Ne Srep Kunji Le Tong Jo Chong Ni Tong Kun Song Mambo Shen Manda Kang Mang Pula Chwa Tep Chung Dora Sam Kum Den Rani Tama De Ne Bang Ane Chwa Lama Da Si Me Kule De Si Chuma Tep Chung Chwe Shen De Si Mbe Chung Kem Me Pa Tan Che Cha Ta Am Be Da Song Samaya Man Palam Be Tino Tender Musana Yumusong Southern Sakuma Sotamatana Chanukura Bonga Sota Nangadam Pensova Masama Santo Benza Santo Hong Che to Chinis and Data Dana Tande Roche and the Sandra that Yamajanga Chilam Yunchulam Ninjana Ranya Dejananda Marsalama Concha to Zaman Savana and the Tusum Jenja Mabra Chinja Mambasa Kurmasan, which Jatan Sa Kamangela Consultation Chanzut. Bezangurakaya Wakata Sede, Chevon Chilan, Talama, Chandim, Redundanilaman Jata, Shilama, the number Traba Povan Gomba women on the Salambo Judge. Ling Kamangela Poen Demba, Chandembali Jinkan. Tanele Damajaka Major Ponto Chekamanta Paracho Angamon and Denta Dapa Washata Ngondro the Jiva Message Michapa Rilla Pinchang and the Devandi Neda Cote Sand such as something Chita Shidoches Kalachazan Tenatan Kalachazan.
Then next is the Kinlup Chusum Ringlup Che prayer.
Kalachazan Jansan Japan Region Mandata Kalacha Janet was and Tenit Sunday.
Then next is the 7-line prayer.
Sida Sunday Lama Sonam Sombe Jabrala to Sida Sunday and Tunamala Chanza Cherokande and Candentala Japson and Benazarang the name the Chivatankova Simba Rap the Chilania Tanson Ala to Chapter Ojentala Zobrasum Chidore the Chichi Chitaman Jusopon Lungai Sunkuvaya Titende Sapatom Hongoje Jinatan Pemakazamala and the Changrinya Pamanjana Chestra Konakanamo Chiji Danuje Chingilovich Songrupe Masente Oche Yaya Savato Don't traje chimachan tepe kam te jonsina hake tala saleshas sange yere maye tan tadar savan tepe pangai chapa moje ko tulum jave se socho wanjen rang resan la to tinzen tude ishe je chilab rang jong chenpo yi rame chencho donga se ranyin jurse shenam kun tinyam jure chen tilen to yanten tamcha rangla zo danyi chenpo chencho Mention Trava Tap Gente, Tuji Satan Tempore Chan, Champore Chan, and Dupat Sindi Menson Division de Savchiri, Tuji Yantra, Samara Tampa, Shinala, Nitachi, Chiji want you to Dan Tempore Church, so Antina, and that's Sokan, Deji.
Then next is the Tsokang Dejin, the melodious timbre of the lotus, the concise fulfillment of the dakinis.
Kandra Kandin Pema Jamacha Vishwara Sogan de Pema Ninja de Tamse de Jenta the Menjan de Jetamran Kandra de Jimata de Yanga Menja no ante Tanakan Rawakan Chin Condescendant the Pema Kantanda Wajanga in Chanta Jatanda Kandu Vijana Burna Kandra Tonandaman. Tamchen Choso Tata Doja to Tanda and Gavanium Jachin Jatanda Pajaka Pama Chanta Tamangona Sanda to Trinland Chepang Hawakandenji Durachiku Ngoran Janepe Wageo. Then it runs in Jimilim Namtana Kota Choma and Solar Lemon Tender.
And next is the Tsok offering song called Lemon Tendril, which is extracted from Rigzin Jigme Lingpa's biography.
In the Jalen Namdale Kota Choma song, the Lemon Tender Possum Jigantana Jagari Chama Chana Mache to Tambe Chunjala Jutta Shambang and Tervil and Chas Sonam Kiji Jamushandala Bevelam Chilan Sajaku Sonia Yagat Tizapon Munim Bayason Namda so Tendela Yajan Lemon Tempe Jay Pundong and Salamajura Padamant and the Tonga Yamga Lura Lembe Change the Dejan Punju Meba Sudra Lata Lama Shere Makum Jancha Makum Jancha Chang Matang Kando Ninda Saji Tiben Jali Chukunduban Chansaji Teneta Chapter Danger Mucha Songa.
Then next is the Tsoklu Tsok offering song by Kyabje Dudrum Rinpoche.
Aho Sata Tatawa Shijira Mangama Junda Sonji Jacoba Jungo Kunja Chana to Chana Chokurto Chinche Pochi Chirone Tatu Linje Jindawa Nanda Ranja to Jelly Jelato Same de Chindu Jelonto Nyapa Mishana de Yanje to Great Chede Nindeleman de Chedam Jesona de Chemonja Sojagadana Rashi Ome Pema Purange Sota Sambu Chitandra Molam Chi Shua Shepa Concha Raptin Jang Oranjan so Then Grumbaja Sunday Sumning the Tuzum Sanje the conclusion Kashichinda.
And next is the prayer that swiftly fulfills all wishes, supplication prayer to Guru Rinpoche, and a few other concluding prayers.
Sunda Sambanya Muchum Manso Zabano and Varan Makan Return Sunda Samani Lemon Chavanamatan and Nadam Banamon Majan Gozo Saman to Son to gender turn on the Cherapon was some Jagan Jilar Jetin Saman Command on the Judge Machan Sample. Chapter Research and Mataja Sungura Sambanyan which are Pongan Nemo. Nemo Tarama Shichen Tender Deji Sora Pena Nyambe Tedenam J Tulash Vachavantin Shologa Tambo Kunjin Jepe and Kando Yang Teke Japja Sabdo and Jansa Timunke Chojole Jonche Teaching Kunjin Yaba Rintin Jimelampe Dorje Song Chinchen no Tusan Gurumsang Muruganda Song Chinasan Pajo Sambaland Vachinjala Techin Chujuru Techin Lempe Simunchin Namda Ke Yes Tari Rinchen Sepan Chantang Tibab Je Son Den Dinye Chinlab Shinde Chewe Kunji Katan De Chebar Song Che Ojan Mucha Song Dangaman Tong Chatan Tongro Cheban Den Duru Rumba Chen Jimen Tinlen Serenka Chepari Palje Tsering Pe Kalaban Rinpoche Sha Sepe Tu Tochonto Songba Sonde Chinla Chana Mangala Chana Kuno Yam Sosamando Chana Sampajins Sando Che Jendu China Chepa Chana Chinze Angbu Zechitu Kube Kangshara Shukchonto Sawatampa Sanju Kunyang Karicho Yirmucho Sonda Namche Sanana Pema de Java Chinjalanja Sanju Kunyata Chinamana Gilmich Chetang Shamuland Parisho County Java Tamjet and Tori Tenete Karsang Monam Tengwa Monam.
And now is the dedication and aspiration prayers.
Kong the Jew to Atamchen Turin, then the Waja, Jamatan, the Chetan Trinity, singing to our Lama Tambani, Chinian dance and the Chela Chua, Chetan and Yambo Thunder, the Santa Sipich and the Goja, Sapatam Bechera to Chamber to like young and my Bachel of Change and the Cherry by a Tamje, Tamja Sanje, Temperature. Long champion songs and little the younger than the Mutsu, don't remember, Chantan Suna Panjako thought. Traje de le punzo Ngondro Lama Sonam Kunda Yirwana Sabsan Nanja Chumya Yemen to get in a chair, the changing to just on Chinchano to Chiche, Talong Putsains.
Thank you. Now I've finished giving the lungs.
So, the Tamja Subanian Tony Benton of Chekana Chapel. So then Andrew was that thing. Sim Jaganana Kadanganzo Tene, that Ngondro Tambango, London Namjin, Jamdro Cheta, Sim Jaga Capsures, Tatare.
So today we're continuing talking about cultivating bodhicitta. In the Ngondro Teachings, we've gone over the 4 thoughts that turn the mind to Dharma at the beginning, and we've gone over refuge. And before we left off in the middle of the bodhicitta section.
Tsemen number chinda parody chimba took your banana tenanta. Tsemen number chinda parody chimba. Took chances with Jabba parody chimba took and on then Jimba certain sobat zondu something that Jabba shoots our race.
And within the bodhicitta section, there's the 4 immeasurables, or the 4 boundless wishes, and the 6 paramitas, or the 6 transcendent perfections. And among those different sections of the 4 immeasurables and the 6 paramitas, we're in the 6 paramitas. And within this section, previously we went over the perfection of generosity and discipline and patience and diligence and meditative concentration. And now today we're talking,
Shirab Jumwote, Chud Rapta Nambanche Big Lodu things.
And so now today we're talking about wisdom. And wisdom is the intelligence to be able to thoroughly discern phenomena. And what wisdom does is it clears away the darkness of the 2 obscurations. Real or full-fledged wisdom is something that only happens at the level of Buddhahood. But there's different kinds of wisdom, or different levels of wisdom corresponding to the states of different beings. Like there's the wisdom of the Buddhas, and the wisdom of Bodhisattvas, and the wisdom that extraordinary sublime beings have. And there's the wisdom of like ordinary worldly intelligence.
Yes, I'm gonna come on. Shirap can go tagara yet. Long day.
Oh, okay, sorry. There's a quotation from our protector Nagarjuna where he says, "To make transcendent wisdom grow, listen and reflect, and once you have these two, meditation will arise from them. Thence unsurpassable accomplishment will be gained." So in order to have wisdom develop, we have to study. Then we have to do contemplation. And if we do these two together, that's what meditation, that makes good meditation. And if we have good meditation, then we will accomplish siddhis.
Shirap Talayantine, Gombolaru Sumana Teletambo, Tube Shirap, Sambi Shirap, Gombe Shiraps, Tasum Yores, Shirap Talayan.
So like this quotation from Nagarjuna says, there are three kinds of wisdom. There's the wisdom that comes from study, the wisdom that comes from contemplation, and the wisdom that comes from meditation.
Tatinana Tambo Tube Shirate, Shijamale, Bechuj, Sidanam, Kongda Chuperchavares, Tuba Sing, Tetanganza Kogate, Rangata Study Cheres.
So the wisdom of study or listening to the Dharma, this involves mastering the words and meanings of all branches of knowledge, but we all know what this means, like listening to teachings or studying Dharma.
Tenen tobache and jiktembe tobache da tenen jikdelen devata kasan jilen devatene be chöge toba sa toba niyo res pat dusana
And
study che
there's two kinds of study. There's study of worldly topics, and there's study of the transcendent Dharma.
jiktembe tobata dra sama soa tanzo res shi
So, worldly learning includes studying language and logic and art and medicine. There's actually no like worldly dharmas that can't be categorized into these different fields. Then learning which transcends the world refers to studying the teachings of the Buddha, the words of the Buddha, and the commentaries which explain the wisdom and intention of the Buddha's teachings. And especially for us, if we want to practice the holy Dharma and accomplish it, then we have to study.
Study that number in the Tambo, the Loda number chin, then a jamdo, then the Loda number chin, second, Pema's traffic things supported those.
So, what we need to study is first we need to study the four thoughts that turn the mind to Dharma, and on up from there, study refuge and study about refuge and so on. And especially the four thoughts that turn the mind to the Dharma are a very deep subject. Really, whether we accomplish the Dharma well or not depends on how deep of an understanding of the four thoughts that turn the mind to Dharma we have. If we just look at the topic of the precious human rebirth with the eases and obtainments, everyone knows about this and knows that there's 8 eases and 10 attainments of the precious human rebirth. But if we really look into it in detail, this topic includes all the supporting circumstances we need to be able to practice the holy Dharma. It discusses them, and we reflect on whether we have these circumstances or not, and we can improve step by step by like coming to have whatever we're lacking of these supporting circumstances that we need, and we can make it so that the circumstances we do have don't decline. It's like, for example, if we're going to build a house, first we have to have all the building materials. If we don't have all the necessary supplies, then there's no way that we're going to be able to successfully build a house. And then even if we have all the necessary building materials complete, then we need a skilled carpenter to build the house. So it's like that example. But then the second of the four thoughts that turn the mind to Dharma is the impermanence of life. And nowadays we're actually experiencing this directly for ourselves. We can see directly with our own senses how everything is impermanent. And then the third of the four thoughts that turn the mind to the Dharma is the faults of samsara. If we don't understand the faults of samsara, then we also won't understand the good qualities of accomplishing liberation. And then we won't have any interest in practicing to accomplish enlightenment. So understanding the faults of samsara is really important. With contemplating the faults of samsara, just understanding that it is suffering is not enough. We also have to understand the methods for alleviating that suffering. In general, if we aren't experiencing suffering, that's a different thing. But if we are experiencing suffering, then we are experiencing it in our somewhere in our three doors of body, speech, and mind. There's no way for there to be any kind of suffering other than that. Suffering includes physical sickness and also mental difficulties, and including things like hearing people say things that we don't want to hear.
Tanza Tamjin, that's a Lula Nasajamata, member Tengiorese.
So there's solutions for all these things. Like if we have some sickness in our bodies, then we rely on a doctor.
Similar to the Mazakale Yunaya, the member that Tengiorese.
And if we have some sickness in our minds, also we rely on doctors.
Yunaya, Tardo Kitan Dungal, when he means that Dungal Tinyongente, Semres, Yams Yongente.
But really, ultimately, in the end, it's our minds that experience all of our suffering. It's our minds that experience suffering.
Simki Dungal Tardo, say Alata, Tambe Chulila, then a member Keba Kandayan and Sakayas to Keba Kandayanaya, then a tea that the Koronega Negas and Dunga say Mata Chetan, Tardo Dunga say it, that Tambe Chulas and Yamares.
For alleviating the suffering of the mind, ultimately, in the ultimate sense, there's nothing greater than the holy Dharma. There are skilled doctors and psychiatrists that can alleviate some of the mind's suffering, but what they can do is only very temporary. They can only help alleviate our suffering in the short term, but ultimately there's nothing greater than the holy Dharma for alleviating our suffering in the ultimate sense.
Member the country Yina and Simki member country, Kunzo Zilla Tena Chigayores.
All doctors in the world, including doctors who heal the mind, they all rely upon material things.
The sugar did Zella Mateme, Jujila Matena, then Tambe Chudi, then Yishila Tena, then Tigam Menche Chigayores.
The Dharma doesn't rely on material things. It doesn't rely on causes and conditions. Although in a temporary sense or in the short term, we do have to rely upon material things. Ultimately, with the Holy Dharma, we rely on wisdom. So this medicine is delivered to us in reliance upon wisdom. And wisdom has no material or concrete existence. It's inconceivable. And this isn't something that we get from outside of ourselves. It's something that we have as the nature of our minds. But since we've been wandering in samsara for beginningless lifetimes, not doing meditation practice, we don't recognize it. We're confused and we cling to things which don't exist as if they do. So this is where the fourth of the four thoughts that turn the mind to the Dharma, karma, cause, and effect, comes in. Because if we have dualistic minds, if we have a mind of dualistic clinging, then there is happiness and there is suffering. And since we have these things, then if we practice virtue, we will experience the happiness, which is the result of that virtue. And if we do non-virtue, we will experience the suffering, which is the result of that non-virtue. And this is really true, and we can experience it for ourselves. But in the nature of mind, these things don't exist. But these things do exist from the perspective of mind which has temporary delusion. The wisdom of study, the wisdom that comes from study, is very important for helping us to understand what is virtue and what is non-virtue, and
which makes creative positive and negative. Yeah, song something. So.
And it's also very important for being able to realize the nature of our own minds. So this is study or listening to the Dharma, but just studying is not enough. We also have to reflect or contemplate the Dharma. So we have to contemplate the meaning of what we've studied and think about whether it's true or not. Think over it very carefully, and if we think that maybe it's not true or we have some doubts about it, then we have to ask questions and resolve our doubts. So we have to contemplate the meaning very carefully and have it be firmly established in our minds, and how we have to develop certainty. And if we have certainty about the meaning, then we meditate upon that, and so then that's the wisdom of meditation. So we have to not just leave the Dharma as empty words or as just concepts, but we have to really integrate it in our minds through practice and join with wisdom by doing unmistaken meditation. So there's the wisdom of study, the wisdom of contemplation, and the wisdom of meditation. And through this third one, the wisdom of meditation, by meditating on the meaning of the Dharma, we can actually, in this very lifetime, join with wisdom or receive the blessings of the Dharma.
Lama Sonam Jimbala tene tsutrum jimbala tsutrum tene soba ten tela tembega zonru ten tela tembega samden ten tela tembega shirap koran korim chene tene chiki sapor chiki yore satanza tamje tene kaga chene tene cheya da kaga yamare se tamje.
All of the paramitas support one another step by step. So we have the perfection of generosity, and this supports the perfection of discipline. And then generosity and discipline support patience. And then these three support diligence, and then these four support meditative concentration, and then these five support wisdom. So they all support one another step by step, and they can't actually be separated. For example, if we offer even one glass of water to the triple gems, we have to make the offering in a way where we have all the 6 paramitas complete. Offering whatever substances we're going to make an offering of, like in this instance, water. Offering this water is the generosity. And then the vessel that we offer the water in, the container for the water, having this be very clean is discipline.
티 capsula legacy stin tiletana rangepe ta ti pariletana lega pe ndam achivate sapares koran rama.
And then while we're making the offering, while we're doing this activity, not getting involved in all different kinds of other things, is patience.
Tene ti koran gone njuk padala. Tene chi chopati puyupserala. Tene simto shimbangam. Tene pache mapa puyate zondires.
And making the offering completely from beginning to end with a joyful mind, enthusiastic mind. This is diligence.
Tene pusaga yu kunjo sum mepa pujuga chopa. Tene rangda chibega tene temba yapo tene te samdere se te yumanova. Te luksaga yumanova. Te tanda kare mbatela. Luna piyate tene samdere se.
And then making the offering with focus and mindfulness, and remaining mindful of the recipients of our offerings, the triple gems, and the offering that we're making, and ourselves making the offering, and not making any mistakes in the process of making the offering. This is meditative concentration.
Tene shirap tati puyudetana yang konzo la teba ma simje la nyingje tene je ne tene ngowa molam satan chapatete shirap res.
And then wisdom is making this offering with faith in the triple gems and compassion for sentient beings, and making good dedication and aspiration prayers at the end. And these 6 transcendent perfections, which are the conduct of bodhisattvas, are things that we need to be training in practicing from now on, now while we're practicing on the path on.
Engaging it. Actualizing Samaratandane be truly.
Practicing the 6 paramitas helps us to engage in and actualize the conduct of the bodhisattvas in an unmistaken way.
Through the
wisdom of study, we can be freed of the ignorance of not knowing. And by contemplating the pith instructions, we can be freed of all the nets of doubts. And then through meditation, we can actualize the nature of mind just as it is. So that's the wisdom of study, reflection, and meditation, the three kinds of wisdom. We'll conclude with this for today, and if there's any questions now, then please ask them now. But if there's not any questions, then at this moment, then you can email your questions in, and we can try to answer them later. It says wireless mic. It's called wireless mic. It's next to the one with the big N. Then
yes, so if anyone has any questions, please type them in, and I'll ask Rinpoche. And then if you don't have any questions right now, you can send your questions to ngondro@vajrayana.org.
Oops, sorry. Ayata tananam janawarum bacha songonangsi. Tengaranso. Konsola ten yang konsola tepa. Tang yiche legendre tsenganse. Tenama simjena sambeke ningche. Ten rangdana sambe. Rang langomo karwa changbo. Tende chene tene samba sambo chicken lana tene rangacho kang drop to the chen drop go yaras.
So if there's no questions right now, that's fine. But really, the point is that nowadays we really have to have faith in the Triple Gems and confidence in karma, cause and effect, and past and future lives, and compassion, thinking about sentient beings, and we have to be honest with ourselves. Like Namgye Dawa Rinpoche talked about this morning, we have to be honest with ourselves and not deceive ourselves, but have have pure-hearted minds and try to practice the Dharma as much as we're able to with a pure-hearted motivation. And that's really the point of a human life. Thank you. And see you next time.
Dedication. Sonam de
Sonam di tamche zipani dipena pamji shin kekana balon chupayi zipe sole drawa sho. Always from rebirth to rebirth may I obtain a precious human being's body with the 7 qualities of higher realms. Just after being born, may I meet holy Dharma, and may I have the freedom to practice according to pure Dharma. From that, may I make my holy root guru happy, and may I apply myself only to Dharma day and night. From realizing holy Dharma, accomplishing the essence of the meaning. In that life, may I cross the ocean of samsara, revealing supreme teachings to samsaric beings. May I make the effort to benefit them, never tired or sad. By great waves of benefit for others without discriminating between beings, may all of them attain the state of fully enlightened Buddha altogether.
Okay, there's one question, right?
Now there's 2 questions. This is from Lucia Trevino. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing that right. Should I make less time so I get less distracted? Should I make less time so I get less distracted? What? Oh, I see. I'm sorry. There's a part before that. Hi, thank you so much for this. I have a question. When doing practice and repeating a mantra, I always get distracted. Does this end at some point, or should I make less time so I get less distracted?
So we have to not let our minds be distracted when we're practicing. From the very beginning of our practice, we have to maintain stable mindfulness. And if we get distracted, then once we realize we got distracted, we have to go back and start again where we were before we got distracted. And if we do that a few times, then we won't get distracted anymore.
Not only a few times.
Or not just a few times,
but keep doing that.
But if we keep doing that, eventually we won't get distracted.
Then there's a Tongzong Chenaya Yakura Saparilla, there's a mess on it. yang.
And it is also good to do practice sessions of a shorter period of time and take breaks between them.
Chang mangbo, tong tong chang mangbo chen.
So we can do more sessions, but each session of a shorter period of time.
Tende chigara mato, chiga tat nga sem yang rog do san, tuzu tong do tong na sem de gyaklang shor de re, tuzu tong tong yang ko yang rog res.
So that's what we have to do, but we can't just shorten our practice sessions because we're getting distracted. If we do that, then we'll let our mind.
Short.
Even
The short still.
And even though our practice sessions are short, still we're going to get distracted. And we can let our minds get spoiled by trying to do that.
The habit, the break, then distracted.
We have to break our habits of getting distracted like that. And to do that, we have to practice for shorter periods of time, but do a larger number of sessions.
More, yeah. Then
Or we can do like what we just mentioned. When we recognize that we got distracted, go back and start again where we were before we got distracted. That's a very good practical question. Thank you.
Then there is another question from Paula Shutman. I have a question. I have little time to practice. I work long hours and find it difficult to practice. I can't read this word, but maybe it's regularly.
Whether we believe in it or not, we all have to go to the same place. And when that happens, we leave our bodies behind.
Something continues.
But our minds continue. It's like falling asleep at night.
Something continues.
The mind is continuous and will experience the results of whatever karma we've accumulated. So when we sleep at night, we have dreams. Whether we have good or bad dreams depends upon how strong of habits we have that we've accumulated in our beginningless lifetimes in samsara. And after we die, we just have to go wherever our karma takes us. And so this is the reason why we try to accumulate good or positive karma, so that we won't be confused in the bardo, and not just for that reason, not just so that we can avoid the fear of the bardo, but so that we can avoid suffering in all our future lifetimes, and so that we can go, like all the way up until we accomplish the state of Buddhahood. We accumulate positive karma and make positive habits, so that we can go to more and more happy states, more and more happy and blissful states, until we ultimately accomplish the state of omniscience, of the state of Buddhahood. And really, there's no method for alleviating our suffering other than the holy Dharma, whether we believe it or not. But not everyone is able to practice the Dharma, and it's not their fault. Like, people have to work, and people have a lot of work they have to do. But even if we're not able to do Dharma practice, still we have to always be training ourselves. We have to always be trying to have a positive state of mind, a pure-hearted motivation, and we have to be cultivating faith in the triple gems, and cultivating confidence in karma, cause and effect, and past and future lives. We have to train ourselves in this way. And always have a good heart.
Tende chi chena tena chö chena tön yurung ba tangwege tende ge tuzu mena ya gyunda samba sambo chi labdege na tela mati ba yamarase.
So even if we're not able to do Dharma practice for long periods of time, even if we don't have the time for that, and if we can still be always trying to train ourselves to be good-hearted, then everything's complete in that. Thank you.
Practical things on that lega mangbo yoros society influence. Lega the majanana then it's sort of go yore techanza.
So that was a very good practical question. Nowadays, people have to work a lot, and because of the influence of society, people have to work to support themselves. So anyway, thank you for your question. Thank you.
Sonam de tamje sebanye tamna nyebe dana pamje shin jega na che balon tupa sepen solen rowa sho kilo chusum rilo chen zamen sasum chabab dunye chosum nawant mandra tusum gele sho. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.